Good afternoon. Let's try this again. Good afternoon. All right, so everybody's in here with me. Welcome to this session. This is about the vCloud suite, which, as you know, has several products in it. So what we are going to be covering in this session is what's new in the vCloud suite and what's coming in the near future. I am Jay Malkani. I'm the Director of Product Management in our Management Business Unit. I joined VMware about 5 years ago when we started that business and are driving its roadmap of all vRealize automation operations in business. And I'm joined here by Rumen Kolov, who is from the Storage and Availability Business Unit and is a Product Manager for SRM.
Yep.
Is that right?
That's right.
All right. So let's get started.
Yep.
So disclaimer here, this is a roadmap session. Some of the products which I'm going to be talking about are not yet, some of the product features I'm going to be talking about are not yet out in the market. So, you can't hold us liable to have those as they are represented here. That doesn't mean that they won't be coming. It's just that maybe things might change a little bit. I'm not going to be talking about pricing and packaging in this session, so no questions about pricing and packaging, please. But we will be talking about what are the products and what are the features and what's the roadmap. So why vCloud Suite? So I saw this cover sometime back in the cover of the Economist. This picture which said we are living in the planet of the phones, right? Everybody is walking around with this supercomputer in their pocket, which has more CPU and RAM than I had when in my big servers when I was going to college. And what this does is this is really disrupting every business, right? So whether you think about banks who have to deal with automatic payments, or you think about travel companies who have to deal with automatic reservations. We have Uber in the now everybody's booking taxis through that. I mean, every business is basically disrupted by this supercomputer. So why is that relevant? Because as CIOs or IT professionals, there's a tremendous pressure on you because all your lines of business are developing a lot of applications to capitalize on this digital opportunity, right? And they're developing these applications at a very, very rapid pace. Because think about it, if one bank offers the ability to take a picture of your check and deposit it, and the other bank doesn't offer that capability, they'll be out of business. So businesses really cannot afford to wait, and there's this whole explosion of digital apps that is happening. Now, if the applications are going to be so rapidly deployed, that means the IT teams will have to set up the environments at a very, very rapid pace. And that's where a lot of lines of businesses are taking advantage of the public cloud, right? They're going, maybe out, even bypassing IT, and there's this shadow IT teams going directly to Amazon Web Services or some other place to say, okay, let me start my developer cloud. But the problem with that is that most of your sensitive data is inside, and then you are left dealing with, okay, how do I integrate those applications with my internal data, or how do I reconcile what the capacity is or what the cost is, and it's just a headache. So this is what we have been calling as this bimodal IT, or this tension. That on one hand you want to be agile and you want to provide these environments to your lines of business, to your developers to write their applications at a very, very rapid pace. But on the other hand, you want to be efficient and have control and be compliant and follow all the regulations. How do you really achieve that? And that's what the vCloud Suite is about, because the vCloud Suite it really brings together the software-defined data center, right, and along with management and automation. And how does that help achieve that agility? Because now, for the first time, you can create your environments in software constructs, right? They are much more faster to set up. You can set up your network, your compute, your storage all in software, create software endpoints, bring them up, tear them down, without really going through the whole procuring, purchasing cycle, or even setup cycle of traditional hardware. And more important is that you get to control that through the management layer, which provides this policy and automation and dashboards and things like that for you to be able to create those endpoints automatically, manage them automatically, manage their entire life cycle automatically. And that's what really is the value of the vCloud suite. The vCloud suite consists of several products. It's a lineup that doesn't, while these products are independent products, they're actually integrated in several ways, and we're going to be talking about some of that today. The products here are start all the way from the bottom, with compute, virtualization to SRM. There are some other products here which form SDDC, which are add-ons to the vCloud suite, such as vSAN and NSX. And then there's the management layer, which is automation, operations, and business, which complete the vCloud suite. So really, the vCloud suite is optimized for the SDDC defined cloud, right? So where you can set up your SDDC, manage it, and deliver it to your developers in a very automated and fast way. So let me pass it on to Rumen first to talk about compute, virtualization, and SRM, and then I'll come back and talk about management.
Great. Thank you, Jai. Okay, just to follow up on Jai's introduction right at the beginning. My name is Rumen Kolov. I'm a product manager with the Storage and Availability Business Unit. I focus on vSphere application and recently also on Site Recovery Manager. I've been with the company for about a year and a half, and today, just like Jai mentioned, I will go through the vSphere and SRM components for vSphere 6.0. So when it comes to running virtualized workloads, 2012 really marked the year where a number of virtualized workloads surpassed the number of non-virtualized workloads out there. And since then, we've seen a steady increase in that particular ratio. Some of the, I would say, things that have really prohibited that going over to 100% virtualized software-defined data center is really business-critical applications such as the Oracle database or MS SQL or Exchange Server. Now, we've really made strides in the past couple of vSphere releases in order to accommodate that and make vSphere really the platform to virtualize those types of workloads. The interesting thing here is that now there's new types of applications that are emerging, such as scale-up, scale-out applications, big data type of workloads, cloud, mobile. And these types of compute workloads really are pushing us to kind of make vSphere better. And that's where vSphere 6.0 really showcases three major pillars of innovation. And so the first is really vSphere empowers users to virtualize scale-up and scale-out applications with confidence, and also really allows customers to deploy and run other types of open source software and components to build their private cloud on top of vSphere. And these particular technologies, such as containers and OpenStack as well. In terms of redefining availability, this is the second pillar, and it's really about where vSphere 6.0 redefines availability through new industry-first features that really minimize downtime for applications over a broad set of environments and use cases. And here we have the long-distance cross-center vMotion that was introduced. We've got continuous availability for production virtual machines, and data protection for business-critical applications. And really, the third pillar is where vSphere is vSphere 6.0 is making strides to simplify management of virtual data center content and infrastructure through a number of new features that really make management of workloads more seamless. All right. So in terms of, we talked about a little bit, we briefly mentioned about these types of new workloads that a new type of applications that customers are really turning to solve a number of their requirements for their businesses. And we're talking about private cloud and really running business critical applications in their data centers. And as such, vSphere 6.0 really introduces a number of scale improvements, such as really doubling the hosts per cluster. The VMs per cluster now, customers can up to 8,000. CPUs per host, also there's a feasible increase, so customers can run VMs with up to 480. So the total virtual CPUs per host can be 480. RAM per host, 12 terabytes, and again, a number of other improvements in the multiples. And so really this gives customers the confidence and ability to really address these next generation of applications on the vSphere platform. Use cases are Hadoop, big data, and also this is where vSphere Big Data Extensions simplifies and automates the process of provisioning and configuring Hadoop clusters. Okay, so this is where kind of the newer updates come in with vSphere 6.0. We released it in March of 2015, so it's been a good 6 months now that customers have been able to run and deploy these new bits in production. And in October, so this month, we released the update 1, so update 1 of the vSphere platform. And our observation has been that vSphere 6 has received, was very well received. We've had very low amount of bugs reported, which is a direct result of having these extra 6 months to deliver vSphere 6.0. We've had, as I mentioned, very favorable feedback from analysts and from our customers. And in terms of the kind of the 3 major topics that vSphere 6.0 update 1 adds to the picture is really about usability, stability, and performance improvements in vSphere. So if you haven't updated to the newest release, now is the time to do so. Okay, so when we talk about some of the new things in this update release, this is where the vCenter Server Appliance really has achieved, functional parity with vCenter Server in terms of scale, functionality, and support. And going forward, VMware will invest most new development effort into making the VCSA, so the vCenter Server Appliance, more capable and manageable. So in update 1, the deployment options for the VCSA for the vCenter Server Appliance have been expanded. So now you can really provision a VCSA directly through the UI. You don't need anymore to go through the corresponding NSX host and deploy it there. And there's also other management and sort of other ways to provision the vCenter Server appliance, either through Power CLI or through different types of scripting options that customers have available. In terms of the new platform services controller topology, the end-to-end topology for really delivering this availability topology for the vCenter Server Appliance and its corresponding components, there's a new utility for migrating from the embedded platform services controller to the external one. Okay, so this is basically the overview and where we stand with vSphere Update 1. Just like Jai mentioned, part of our vCloud suite of products, we have a number of solutions that are packaged together, and Site Recovery Manager is obviously one of them. So what is Site Recovery Manager? Site Recovery Manager is VMware's flagship product for delivering automation and orchestration of disaster recovery workflows. It really allows and delivers customers the ability to deliver high availability for their applications, and really addresses and automates a number of traditional disaster recovery workflows, such as failover, either in case of planned migration or unplanned migration, giving customers the ability to do non-disruptive testing and test out their recovery plans, in case at some point in time they have to be actually put into use. Failover, reprotection so being able to reprotect back and reverse replication to the original site, and then fail back your workloads when your original protected site is up and running again, in the cases of a particular disaster. We support, so Site Recovery Manager doesn't actually move any bits around. It works with a number of third-party replication solutions from major storage vendors. So we support all of the major traditional storage vendors, new ones as well. And you know, SRM has been around since 2008, so it's a very mature product. And I'm happy to say that we have over 16,000 customers using Site Recovery Manager, with around 3 million virtual machines protected with this product against unplanned downtime. It's also integrated with vSphere Replication. So vSphere Replication is our hypervisor-based replication solution, which is part of vSphere license. And SRM tightly integrates with that solution as well. Okay, so what's new in Site Recovery Manager 6.1? Just before I go into this, I was curious, how many in the room actually use Site Recovery Manager or have deployed it in production? Okay. How many are thinking to do so with 6.1? Okay, good stuff. I'm very happy to say and very happy to talk about these 3 major new features that we've introduced as part of Site Recovery Manager. And it's really made the difference for a number of customers, and I'll go through those in a little bit more detail. But the very first one is really delivering support for metro distance stretch storage with a number of third-party stretch storage vendors, such as IBM, EMC, and Hitachi Data Services. And really what this is all about is supporting basically where you have a 2 vCenter server scenario with 2 SRM servers. You have a stretch storage between both sides. SRM now can orchestrate cross-center vMotion from one side to another, delivering not almost zero downtime for planned migrations. So this is a really big step in the orchestration and delivery of disaster protection for our customers. Integration with NSX. Now we have, so Site Recovery Manager now has certain integration with NSX, our software-defined networking solution. And what that does is SRM integrates with this common logical switch between both sides, eliminating the need to do implicit network mappings, and also at time of failover, really eliminates any type of IP customization that needs to be done to those virtual machines on the corresponding recovery site. So drastic increase in recovery, drastic decrease in RTO, recovery time objectives, and this is something that we're very happy to announce. And the final thing that I wanted to talk about is the feature where we really extend and integrate, we extends support for policy-based management, for protecting virtual machines with SRM. And this is done through a new type of protection group, which is storage policy-based protection group in construct in SRM. And what that does is it uses the vSphere storage profiles, the ability to tag data stores and then assign them to a particular storage policy, and then assign that storage policy to a particular recovery plan. That means that any virtual machine that is provisioned onto that particular data store that's covered by a particular storage policy would automatically get protected with SRM and that particular recovery plan. So these are the new things, and with that, I'll again pass it on to Jai. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about in the vCloud suite is the cloud management platform, which basically consists of our three products, which is around cloud operations, cloud automation, and cloud business. So we'll go into each one of these one by one, and I'll talk about what are some of the new features and what's some of the roadmap. So first, let's talk about a little bit of some trends in IT delivery, right? A lot of people in IT, when they started adopting automation tools, right, a lot of their focus was around infrastructure delivery, that I have to automate infrastructure delivery. I can't have this done manually. I can't set up everything manually. I need some sort of automated way, a catalog, some endpoint tied to endpoints which can be provisioned and delivered, and that drastically cut down the time that it took to set up infrastructure. That's all well and good. But now the trends are moving more and more because now lines of business are deploying apps at a very, very fast rate. And not only do they want infrastructure automation, but they actually want application automation, right? Teams are looking to really have environments set up. And when I'm talking of environments, I'm not just talking about, hey, give me a set of VMs. I'm talking about, give me a development environment set up with governance, set up with policies, for a particular multi-tier application which I can deploy. And even furthermore, many teams have adopted a DevOps methodology where things are done by the developers themselves, and by the click of a button, things are moved into production. Configs are kept in a repository, and they are tracked all the way through production. So very fast development has led to the automation world really changing. So, many of you may ask, like, so what has that got to do with what are we doing with vRealize automation? Well, in vRealize Automation 7.0, we are significantly simplifying this process of deploying multi-tier applications, not just infrastructure, but applications. So what does that mean? What that means is that we're introducing a unified blueprint model that you can use not only to deploy infrastructure, networks, security, and software, but even the application components, right? Web servers, middle tiers, etc. And all of them are done through the same design canvas. So you can actually drag and drop things from this palette to configure multi-tier applications. And you can either request individual components or combine them and design your whole application, right? So this makes it really, really simple to deploy applications and set up application environments, and which may actually sound like a very simple thing, but usually when something is simple to use, there's a lot of work that goes behind the scenes to make that happen. So a lot of work has gone into actually combining what used to be Application Director and what was vRealize automation into one product, and really have a combined blueprint model across infrastructure and applications. The other big thing with VRA 7.0 or vRealize Automation 7.0 is the full support of NSX. So with vRealize Automation, now you can deploy application-centric networking, micro-segmentation, make it very, very easy. These services are configured in context of delivering, reconfiguring, and decommissioning the application. So the network is really tied to what the application really requires. So as part of that unified blueprint model that I talked about in the previous slide, where we're bringing application and infrastructure blueprints together, NSX network and security policies can also be now delivered through the same canvas, designed and delivered through the same canvas. You can really embed these constructs directly into the infrastructure or into the application layer. So they are no longer a separate entity. There's full support of NSX throughout the blueprinting model. vRealize Automation 7.0, which is releasing this quarter, also brings additional hypervisor support and extends support for various public and hybrid cloud platforms. So with this new converged blueprint, we also support the ability now to have blueprints that span both private and public clouds. So again, combined blueprint, simple to use, easy to deploy. And we've in the area of extensibility, we've added a new event broker that simplifies and standardizes the process by which these third-party solutions integrate with vRealize automation. So that just that event broker sort of makes it easy for the solutions to be upgraded, and they also have a new API which can be used for users that prefer to access the vRealize automation capabilities via API rather than a UI, right? So we talked about DevOps tools coming and being used by your developers in your various lines of business. They could use the vRealize automation APIs to clasp onto those tools and integrate their processes so they can really set up their environments or deploy their code very simply. So even the blueprints themselves serve as code, so they can be exported and tweaked and re-imported back into vRealize automation. I think last but definitely not the least, I don't know how many of you have vRealize Automation 6.2 or 6.0 in your environment. So quite a few of you. Easy to deploy? It was a joke. It wasn't the most easiest product to deploy, right? But vRealize Automation 7.0, we have made huge leaps in that aspect. There's a new installation and configuration wizard which will guide people through the installation. There's no need for a lot of professional services to really do all that work. They can really focus on delivering value in terms of setting up your blueprints and things like that. And there's also a number of components which are now embedded, so you don't really need to set them up separately. For example, there's an embedded identity and authentication solution which really greatly reduces the time required to get up and running. And also from a stability standpoint, vRealize automation components now are all active HA, and they're really robust and have a consolidated and very streamlined deployment architecture. So a lot of improvements in vRealize 7.0. So I don't know if some of you went to the beta in Sophia. There was a lot of good feedback there, and which is being incorporated in the product. The next component here of the vCloud suite is vRealize operations, right? How many of you have vRealize operations? More of you. So that's good. For those who don't, the purpose of vRealize operations is really to be the cloud operations console. We bring together various disciplines of operations for the software-defined data center and hybrid clouds under one roof, which is performance management, capacity management, config management, compliance management, etc. And we extend that through management packs, APIs, and SDKs, so that that plugs into a whole sort of a slew of partner ecosystem, which is and those partner management packs are available through Solutions Exchange. So it's a great product. The focus of this session is what's new, right? So that's I'm not going to describe in detail what the product does, but I'm going to focus more on what we are releasing and what's coming. So we're investing in three major areas, right now. One is to drive intelligent placement and proactive rebalancing. We'll talk about how the vRealize operations analytics can be used to drive that sort of intelligent placement behavior. The second is around integrated OS and app monitoring. So this is extending the monitoring and analytics capabilities from beyond just compute and infrastructure to what's running within the guest of the VM and what are the application processes running. And finally is around the consistent ops management across the SDDC. So it's not only vSphere, right? There's NSX, vSAN, vVolves, all those things which are in the pipeline. So how do we sort of have comprehensive operations across the software-defined data center? So first, let's talk about in-guest awareness. Those of you who have used vROPS, have any of you used Hyperic in the past? Oh, there's one hand there. So, and the reason that is because the rest of you are thinking, well, I have vROPS, why do I have to go and deploy this other product, Hyperic? And the reason was that Hyperic really had the agents which would monitor the guest endpoints, right? So if you wanted to get data from within the guest, you had to deploy Hyperic. And then we had like this Hyperic management pack, which would then take that data and bring it back into vRealize operations, so you can get all your alerts under a single pane of glass. But no more, right? So the Hyperic management pack and Hyperic is essentially, you don't have to use it anymore. We are going to end of life it at some point, after the support period goes away. And we have moved all the capabilities for endpoint operations, hence the acronym there, EPOps, into vRealize Operations 6.1. So vRealize Operations 6.1 takes in all the in-guest awareness and all the endpoint monitoring and brings it onto the same platform, so that you don't have to worry about, do I have scalability or not? Well, with vRealize Operations 6.0, we had already moved to a scale-out architecture, right? So we don't really, and which scales to tens of thousands of VMs. So we don't really have to worry about scalability anymore. It also brings it all together under one UI, so you get correlated information across where the problems are, whether they're in the infra layer or whether they're in guest, because you never really know, right? When there's a performance issue, where exactly which component has actually failed. And the vRealize Operations APIs is something you can now take advantage of to also get the endpoint information in there. So that's one big area of improvement. The other thing I wanted to talk about was how are we utilizing analytics to drive intelligent placement, right? This is a question which a lot of operations people ask, is that, hey, I have all the analytics that I need through vRealize Operations, and I can troubleshoot the environment, but can you help me proactively move the workloads into where they should be? Why should I have to do that after the fact? Help me be more proactive. After all, I'm running clouds, and we talked about the whole explosion of digital apps. So this is all about making IT more productive. So now we have different views, right, within within vRealize Ops 6.1, which break down the different infrastructure components that are running into by the capacity they are consuming and the capacity that's available into 3 different zones. There's the underutilized zone, which means that these VMs etc. are not using all the capacity that's available to them. There's the optimal zone, perfect, and then there's the overutilized zone, or some people call it danger zone, right? And that's where you know that some problems are going to happen, and ops teams and IT teams are going to get a call because the application performance is not good and things are starting to fail. So now with this view, you can really see what's where and start to take action. But again, you know, what does that mean, take action? Well, we've added a rebalance button within vRealize Operations 6.1, which will actually rebalance those workloads based on what is their capacity needs and what is the capacity available. So what is the output of this is really a rebalance plan, which says, this is how your workload should be distributed. These workloads should go into this cluster, and these workloads should go into this cluster. And how this actually works is that you can create a container. You can, maybe the container is a set of application components, and you can say, hey, I want to rebalance this container. So you hit rebalance container. You review the output of the plan, which is generated by vRealize operations, the recommendations, and you can approve them if you want, and begin the action, and it will execute it. Or you can just take those recommendations and then decide whether you want to act on them or have a conversation with your business unit about placement based on certain business logic if you want. This does not violate DRS affinity rules. This is the key point. A lot of other tools in the market, and I won't name them, but they say, hey, we are doing, what we call placement or proactive placement and proactive rebalancing, etc. But that violates DRS rules, and many of them will say turn off DRS. And that's very dangerous, because remember, DRS isn't meant for capacity-based placement. It's meant to identify if there is a problem occurring at runtime and then move your workload. You don't want to disable DRS. With vRealize operations workload placement, you don't have to. There's an action framework embedded within operations, so a lot of built-in actions which can work with your placement recommendations. You can automate most of these actions and rebalance your VMs and data centers, etc. There's a whole list of actions here which you can go and see, and it's documented in the release notes. And all of them are pretty much you can automate as part of an alert or a policy if you want to. Definitely take advantage of this. The other thing I wanted to talk about was the SDDC coverage in vRealize operations. Also, there's a whole lot of improvements here around NSX specifically, and there's the NSX management pack, which with every new release of NSX, we are taking all the new features that are available and allowing operations on them and making sure that they are monitored, those endpoints are monitored, and you have the dashboards necessary to review that information. So whether it's the health of VMs hosting NSX services, top-end stats, there are about 57 or so specific problems which we know occur in NSX environments, which you can monitor for and generate alerts for. There's health, capacity, and performance views for your virtual networks. There's also multi-center, multi-VC mobility, which is coming in the next release of vROPS 6.1. So, we are continuing to work with the NSX team at VMware and continuing to develop this management pack, which you can take advantage of if you've deployed NSX. There's also the management pack for storage devices, which we call MPSD for short. This is also available through Solutions Exchange. By the way, all these are free, right? You don't have to pay for these. If you have a vROPS license, you can go ahead, download these, and start using them. This one does is it correlates data all the way from your VM to the LUN. From your HPA to the paths to all the way down to the array, and it correlates all that information and brings it up to define what your alert is or what's the issue. So, for example, if you have a slow performing VM, the issue could very well be a storage path which might be down, or it might be some array controller which may not be working. So this management pack really takes that data and brings it and correlates it with the data store. Now, the other important thing about this management pack is that it also extends support for vSAN. So if you have vSAN, vWall, or vFlash in the future, this is the management pack which you're going to be deploying and importing into vRealize operations to take advantage of monitoring that. So we're completing the SDDC story with compute, then NSX, and with vSAN fully supported within vRealize operations. This is just an overview or some screenshot of how the management pack for storage device works, and shows you, how it's getting information across the SAN fabric and bringing that to bear. The good thing about this is that we are using fairly standard protocols, SIM, SMIS, and VMware Aware Storage APIs. So any storage vendor can basically publish their stats through SIM or SMIS protocol, or expose their array data through VASA, which they already do essentially, so that the array is recognized by vCenter, and we take advantage of those configurations and performance metrics that are available and bring them to bear through our correlation engine in vRealize operations. Reporting. Reporting is another big area of investment. After all, that's what people like about IT teams, that we have so much data and we can report on the data. So whenever different businesses ask, hey, how is my capacity? Show me how much my performance is there. What am I using? What am I not using? You need really good reporting, right? If you're going to be running everything in software, to establish that level of trust with your business units, to say, yep, I have the data and I can report on it. So we've made reporting a lot simpler in vRealize operations. We've added dashboards, which basically your any dashboard now within vROPS you can drag and drop it, and it will become a report. Essentially, you can add a time element to it, schedule it, and generate a report. So you don't really have to worry about if you're viewing something, you don't have to take a screenshot or anything like that. You can generate it into a report. So that makes it really easy. There's also a lot of people ask for this, so this is directly coming from you guys, that you wanted reports which to be published to a network location, so you can point whoever wants to consume that report to it without necessarily giving them access to vROPS, right? So we've added that, so you can schedule a report and share it by auto-posting it into a network shared location. And finally, we've made UI improvements to the report. So you can generate a report now in portrait or landscape, and have different types of charts all show up and fit together, add your logos and things like that. So a lot of improvements around reporting. Scale. I think my colleague talked about how vCenter scale has improved. Well, so has vROPS. As you know, in 6.0 we moved to the scale out model, and now we are continuing to enhance that scale out, to go to 16 nodes of deployment, increase the maximum number of remote collectors you can have. Essentially, remote collectors, for those who don't know, collect data at a remote endpoint where vRealize operations is not installed, and then bring that back over the LAN or over the WAN to vROPS by bringing only the differences that have changed at that endpoint. So, it's a very good way to scale out without creating a lot of latency. So we've increased the max number of remote collectors you can have. I think it's upwards of 50 now. We've increased the max number of objects and resources that you can have, for really operating this at cloud scale. Increased the number of concurrent users. A lot of improvements in scale. So definitely take advantage of the new releases with 6.1, because with 6.0 it was a major re-platform effort, but 6.1 has really taken advantage of the platform and brought all these capabilities. So we talked about the remote collector, right? We've also added more resiliency here. So there's an automatic failover of the remote collector, which is different than the vRealize ops failover. That also has HA, but this also has HA now. There's load balancing, so if there's multiple remote collectors, and they are collecting similar type of data, they know on which node to basically collect them, so you're not overloaded on one node, and just a much more stable architecture around collection. And I'll throw a few more things in the bag here, which is a few little things like IPv6 support. How many of you actually have IPv6 networks in your organizations? Few of them, and I'm sure a lot more of you will have that going forward. I know that as your governments and etc. move to IPv6, there's a big requirement there. Windows 2012 R2 support, we've added that for the appliance, and there's the SSO integration. So now, from vCenter itself, you just need to log in once, because we take the credentials and bring them over to vRealize operations, so you don't have to sign in again. So it makes your job a little simpler. And we are adding some telemetry, so if things crash and things don't work, we can collect that data and make the experience better for you. The hope is that we are also able to get you some intelligence on how other folks are, what's the scale and what are the recommendations on how to use your product better. So some of those things are going to come. vRealize Business. So this is actually new to the vCloud suite. While this product has been out there and it was available standalone, but it was not part of the vCloud suite, right? So we added that to the vCloud suite offering. So this is something you can take advantage of if you have a vCloud suite license. And the purpose of this is really around, first, actually it has three purposes. One is to analyze the cost of your software-defined data center. So if you have the catalog of prices which are entered, or we have a standard industry catalog which we offer, you can get a cost of, okay, how much is this environment really costing? So you can then communicate that or plan based on that. Secondly, you can meter resource usage by specific consumers. So you can say, okay, this particular tenant or this particular line of business, what is their usage? How is their cost trending, right? Who is most expensive? Who needs to cut costs based on utilization and all that? So now you're talking in terms of business terms instead of only in capacity terms. And yes, this data comes from vRealize operations. So we are able to get the capacity data and add a cost element to it. And finally, you can remember in vRealize automation, which allows your lines of business to now automatically deploy their applications, because now you have blueprints in a catalog which they can provision, and it's very easy to do. But now you can also publish costs to the blueprints. So your developers, when they are actually accessing those applications, they can know how much this particular catalog item costs. So it's kind of like a shopping experience, a true shopping cart experience. So you can go online and you pick your item and you know how much it costs, and you can decide based on cost which ones you want and go ahead and deploy them. So definitely it works very well with vRealize automation. In fact, it's just a tab. It's just a new tab when you deploy this product under vRealize automation. So definitely take advantage of that. But why are all these products in the vCloud suite, right? And the reason we are bringing them all together is because of the power of the integrated capabilities, right? Because a lot of advanced use cases become possible when you have the entire cloud management platform working together. What are those advanced use cases? I'll talk about them briefly, but think about this, right? First of all, you're going to move to SDDC to deliver high automation, high agility, set up endpoints in software. But you all went from physical servers to VMs, right? What did that do? For every 20 servers you had, now there were 200 VMs. There were a lot more endpoints to manage. You're going to go to NSX. For every physical switch, there'll be 5-10 virtual switches. There'll be NSX controllers, firewalls, load balancers, all software, very easy to bring up, take away, etc. And then there'll be storage. Then you have vSAN, vVold, vFlash. So essentially, what I'm saying is there's an explosion of software-defined endpoints, and once you have the cloud management platform, the automation and operations and business all working together, you're adding a control and policy layer to essentially manage the entire life cycle of those endpoints. That's huge, right? Automate everything at SDDC at scale. Secondly, you're going to enable collaboration and self-service. So what that means is that you have storage teams, network teams, compute teams, security teams coming together to deliver the cloud. And you want common views, common reports, common dashboards so that they can really collaborate. And secondly, you don't want as an IT person, everything that your developer needs to do shouldn't be your problem. For example, if somebody wants to increase the CPU on their VM, should they open a ticket and you're going to do that? Like for thousands of VMs in your environment? No, right? You want some self-service. So we're trying to enable that through portals which developers can access, and they have some operations, day-to-day operations tasks in there. And finally, we want to use some continuous remediation and optimization, and I'll show you what I mean. We want to take like the analytics from operations, right, the cost from business, and feed that into our automation engine to drive really highly intelligent placement, to drive highly intelligent what-if scenarios. For example, if you want to know which cloud should a particular workload needs to go in, that recommendation will just pop out from the tool. It's like, okay, this application needs this service level, this is the budget, this is the cost, this is what is available in private and public cloud. I know where this needs to go, and therefore these blueprints are available for you, Mr. Developer, to go ahead and deploy these workloads, which can automatically be placed in this particular public cloud. Maybe it's an AWS cloud, maybe it's Azure, maybe it's a vSphere-based private cloud, maybe it's vCloud Air, which is more cost efficient, which is going to meet the service level of that application. So a lot of these advanced use cases are becoming possible. So that's where we are right now, right? We are driving a lot of these integrations between these products. What we call that in our roadmap is CMP.now, right? So you might hear some of us use that term, which means Cloud Management Platform Now, right? It's very, very critical, these type of integrations that we're driving. But we're not just driving these integrations in isolation. What we're also trying to do is break a lot of these product components into microservices, right? And really move to a services-based architecture so that we will have a new platform at the end of the day, which will be just one platform with single scale and all these services underneath the covers, which are basically going to work together. And that's what we refer to as CMP.next, right? Or Cloud Management Platform.next. So a lot of work is happening here in our roadmap. And in the coming years, you will see many of our sessions pivot towards talking about our CMP.next solution and how we are really bringing the vCloud suite story together and the cloud management platform story together. I did want to point you to some sessions, which are actually I won't be really presenting in these sessions. We won't be presenting our story, but you'll really get to hear from some of the customers who have deployed the vCloud suite and are using these. So definitely try to at least catch one or two of them. The one is 6020 with several customers who will be discussing their solutions. And what they have done, how they have automated SDDC using the cloud management platform and the vCloud suite. And then there's a session with ING Bank on Thursday at 1:30, where we're going to deep dive into a specific DevOps implementation using public cloud and SDDC. So you'll get to see exactly what they have done with screenshots and all that stuff from their particular implementation which we worked on. Very excited to share that with you. And please do fill out a survey if you like this session. If you didn't like it, don't fill it out. I'm just kidding. I want your feedback regardless. But if you have any questions, I think we are almost out of time, but I'll be sticking around for a bit if you have any questions. Thank you.